What the film?
Welcome back to the What the Film podcast. I am here joined by Chad, my dad, and we have a very, very, very special guest on this episode. Ethan, what's going on, dude?
What's up? What's up? Honored to be on the podcast. Very excited.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Now, you might be wondering, Ethan, you're wearing a Superman jacket. Yes, folks, we are talking everything about superhero movies on this fourth episode of What the Film. Now, I think everyone knows Marvel and DC have a whole bunch of superhero movies, but there's even more superhero movies that aren't a part of just the regular Marvel and DC category. Do you guys have, any notes for right now about superhero movies in general? What's up?
Well, so let's do this. Let's say what the superhero movie is going to be. For example, I don't think we should get too complicated with the definition, right? Yes, a superhero movie absolutely mostly stems from comic books, right? Perfect. Technically, however, somebody like Zorro or Sherlock Holmes could be considered technically superhero movies in a certain fashion, but I don't necessarily know if we want to go there. I know there's a lot of discussion between even the comic book geeks. Is Batman technically a superhero because he doesn't have superpowers? Those are all arguments that I feel could be done on the Dungeons and Dragons table, in the back room. I feel for this discussion absolutely can still just be generally, a superhero is a superhero, right? Like there's sort of an understanding.
Batman is 100% a superhero. There's no doubt about that.
Outside of Marvel and DC, I don't know. There's I'm trying to think of what we could consider. What do you guys have? Anything outside of Marvel, DC? I'm sure you guys are. We're going to get into the Marvel DC worlds, but outside of that, what would you consider?
Just a couple weeks ago, you have the Invincible and the Boys kind of thing. They're more TV shows, but they're action comics. Inbound Impact. What is it called?
That's Image.
Image.
But I think the Boys might be under a different publishing company. Like they might be I don't think they're Dark Horse or Dynamite, but they might be Image.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of superhero stuff here too, because it doesn't even have to be a comic book to be a superhero, really.
Yeah, it's Dynamite Entertainment. I think
it is.
I don't know if you guys would necessarily count this as a superhero movie, but I feel like the Iron Giant, because it has such a pull from like Superman. I feel like that is almost a superhero movie, and not in a conventional manner, but
sure.
But we even have like another animation, the Incredibles, the Pixar. There's a whole bunch of superhero family, basically a loose parody off the Fantastic Four. Or like a family of special powered individuals.
If you think about it, right? This has been back since caveman days, right? For the beginning of time, man has written characters that are larger than life, right? Those that are going to save the world. To be honest, that's technically how religion starts, right? These are the characters who are heroes. You're going to see it in the Christopher Nolan movie, right? The Odyssey is technically a medieval or really old superhero movie, because these are people who have gone to these wars, fought these wars. Beowulf is another one. Beowulf is probably the first written superhero story, honestly, because these crazy supernatural powers and things and fights and whatever. So since the beginning, right, there's always been something like that, right? Movie-wise, again, I'd have to think Zorro, right? There's, I think, a Zorro movie from the 1920s or 1910s, right, that, again, I think is that hero. wherever, honestly, wherever any kind of oppression is, there's usually a story, some sort of folk tale about somebody who's going to save these people and help them, right? And that's what Zorro was. That's technically what Superman is. That's what the X-Men really is. Eventually, wherever there's some sort of oppression or people need somebody to help, there you go. You're going to have that story. Which is better, which is worse, how it all filters into the film world, that's a whole nother thing, that we can start to dive into.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, film-wise, let's see, what is considered the first superhero movie, do you think?
This is completely unrelated, but I can't believe when we're talking about superhero movies that aren't Marvel or DC, Hellboy by Guillermo del Toro, that is such a great movie. I mean, that's 2004, so it's definitely not the first, but I mean, that's a huge one outside of Marvel and DC that I didn't even think of. But
Hellboy was Image? Dark Horse.
Image, that's Dark Horse.
Yeah, it was Dark Horse. Yeah. Yeah, and it was a great comic too, also, by the way. Fantastic.
I was gonna say, I have that somewhere upstairs in my little shelf. I do have
we should have brought out like our whole boxes of comics.
Right.
Yeah.
But the first considered one that I'm looking at right now is called The Mark of Zorro, 1920.
There you go. Zorro.
But interestingly, this is also, I'm like looking at this, I'm like 1941, Adventures of Captain Marvel, which is Shazam for the DC world, which is also interesting. Like, the first character that pop up that I would have seen is Shazam. He's like a B level hero.
Yeah, and back then, it's funny again. Now we started turning into these serial movies, right? Like Flash Gordon. The Flash Gordon stuff, the old Batman, the old Superman, like old, totally driven for kids, which comic books were at the time. But remember, comic books, even back then, were looked very down upon. There are countless interviews with Stan Lee saying when he went to parties, he couldn't tell people he worked for comic books, right? He had to lie, I work for the newspaper or whatever. Because it was a silly thing, right? It was a dumb thing. In fact, a lot of religious groups even said that, hey, comic books were bad for children. They were putting bad things in their heads. They had a whole rating system, just like they do for movies now. For comic books, it was a crazy thing. And then, obviously, slowly it gets a little better for comic books. Obviously, the 1960s Batman show comes out. Huge hit. They tried to recreate it with other shows, didn't quite work. But even then, comic books were still, hey, you're just a little kid kind of thing. In the 80s, it started to become more collectible, right? The comic book genre started becoming a collectible thing where you did have these Comic-Cons that people went to. You did have people bagging up the comics and all that stuff. But even then, it was still, you didn't talk about it with other people often, right? If you were at the comic store with your friends, you can talk about how Iron Man could beat Captain America, but guess what? In school, outside of school, you didn't say shit about that. All of those kids, myself included, were sort of, in the back alley side of that world, right? Where, the Stranger Things kids, where you can very easily play things like this, right? Make your own superhero stories, right? Then, and even then in movies, so if we relate this to film, there are only a few good ones here and there until 1989. Somehow, somebody saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and they saw Michael Keaton, and they said, well, these two should make a fucking Batman movie together. And it was one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. I've probably seen it in the movies 10 times, honestly. Like, that was the movie that you went to go see over and over and over. Even then, it still didn't get to, you know, that heightened space. They had a lot of flops. They tried to recreate it with a bunch of other different movies. They tried to do The Punisher. They tried to do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck. You know, Blade came out. It wasn't even. I mean, that was okay, but it wasn't like blowing the tops off of everything, right? Things went dormant again for a little bit because the Batman series then ran its course because they ruined, you know, that they kept churning them out and it became a joke. Then I don't know what was then Marvel Cinematic Universe came along.
Well,
And
so
I would
boy,
the Sam Raimi.
before 2008,
okay, yeah, no, that's right. You're right. You're right. Timeline wise, you're
before
right.
2008, I genuinely think Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, saved the superhero genre and really made it
Yes.
huge.
And if I'm not wrong, I think Batman Begins, did that come out before Iron Man, or are they both around the same time? Because I think Batman Begins is 2000.
I thought
2000.
Batman Begins was like 2005.
I thought so too. I thought
The Dark Knight came out in 2008. Like,
2005 is Batman Begins.
does that predate Iron Man and the MCU? I thought that came out before. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, so Christopher Nolan and Sam
Yeah,
Raimi.
2008.
Well,
2008 was Iron Man.
Nolan
But Hulk was the
did
first,
some-
right? Hulk was the first one, right?
2003 Hulk. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean 2002 is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And honestly, I think X-Men came out in 2000, right? Did it not?
Yes, we are forgetting the Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, X-Men.
So the 2000s are really what started the superhero craze, I would say. But for me, it started with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's Tobey Maguire's
Oh, so good.
obviously the best Spider-Man. I don't think there's any.
It was
there's
the-
debate, but
It was the best Spider-Man, but the worst MJ.
right,
Yeah, they do are horrible in that movie.
Not good. Not good.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, like you said, you keep going, and then we get to 2008. I mean, there is still some stinkers in the 2000s. There's a whole another Punisher movie. There's a Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, which was awful. I know
Electra.
there's like a Catwoman movie that was awful. Like 2000s also aren't that great. But
Catwoman, and I've never seen Catwoman, but it's considered the worst superhero movie of all.
You are not missing out.
I don't. Well,
it's really bad.
yeah, that's why I pretty much skipped it. Also,
Well,
I've
okay,
never even
if you love Halle Berry like half naked, it's a really great movie.
Okay, first of all, who doesn't love Halle Berry half naked?
Right.
I mean, that's a given.
Right. But yeah, so and then we get to 2008 with Iron Man. And honestly, I feel like that is the start of like the top-notch things happening, but it really didn't happen until 2012 with the first Avengers coming out that truly skyrocketed superheroes to the height.
What
It is.
was it though? Why did that happen? How did your typical soccer mom, who honestly would have thrown me in a locker in 1989 for talking about Iron Man, how did she now go from? They didn't even watch the X-Men. They may have seen Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, but how did it then come to them having an Iron Man and Thor sticker on their minivan? Because that's a whole different jump, right? Like, what happened
You're kind of leaving me speechless because I really don't know.
to that?
I do wonder if it's just it's like it was just a blockbuster. This is the movie you have to go watch in the summer, and then, you know, Avengers is now the culmination of all these movies that came out, and then you're like, I didn't even know they could do something like this. So then that skyrocketed it because now I got to watch all these Marvel movies that come out because I don't want to miss out on the next Avengers, you know, movie. Like, I wonder if something like that, you know, I got to know what's going on.
It
That
became a little
tying it
more
all in.
interactive, yeah.
Yeah,
I
tying it all in.
think it also stems from just them having kids. So those little kids are going to watch superhero movies because it's something. Sometimes for kids, it's just something you turn your brain off and watch the popcorn. But then when an adult watches it, they're like, "Oh, wait a second, is actually really good. I think that's what sometimes that happens as
You
well.
think the quality of the movie's just gotten better? Like, okay, so if we took the Punisher show, the Punisher movie or mini movie, whatever the hell just came out on Disney Plus,
The special, yeah.
if we compared that to any of the iterations of Punisher prior in film wise, is it just a better product?
It's definitely gotten better, but to me, not many Batman movies has topped Batman '89. So I don't know whether it's just there's more quality than quantity, because I think there is more superhero stuff happening now. So I don't necessarily agree with that.
What if
I'm
it's
being honest.
what if it's hear me out? What if it's the actual director? So in Hollywood, what normally happens is especially when you have a juggernauts, you'll just hire somebody to do the work for you, right? George Lucas did the same thing. George Lucas only directed the first Star Wars. He didn't direct Empire Strikes Back. He didn't direct Return of the Jedi, right? He certainly didn't direct well, he did the prequels, but you know what I mean? Like, after a while, you're just like, here, I'll pay you, you go direct this film for me. In Marvel, well, first of all, you already mentioned Batman, which was, what's his face?
Tim Burton.
I'm sorry?
Tim Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. So, right off the jump, he is his own filmmaker, right? He has his own style, he has his own thing, and he put his own kick to it. Sam Raimi, hello, he has his own thing going, right? So he kicked it on. Then when you start getting into the Marvel stuff, who do you have? Iron Man was done by, Favreau. Again, has his own deal. And Black Panther, right? Cool. Like, these are directors who still have something to say. Oh, and Thor, the original Thor was done by Brandon Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, who did an amazing version of Frankenstein. So you have these directors who really actually have something to say. So now they're saying it within these stories, and that just enhances it to make them actual good movies, rather than here's another fucking Batman movie, here's a Punisher movie. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I think there's a clash with that, though. When you have such an amazing director and then also a pretty good superhero, sometimes maybe that clashes. Well, it's a good movie, but maybe it takes a different approach to the character. I know Ethan might have a lot to say about Christopher Nolan and Batman, so I don't know if you want to tear that bag open.
Okay, well, we are going to tear that bag open. Let's say, so now we're going to say these are movies we already know who these people are, right? You know who Batman is, you know who Spider-Man is. Some of us have comic books that we love, stories that we love, Flashpoint for Tristan and all that jazz. Now they're making it into a movie. They could fuck it up. So let's tear that open. So what happens in that scenario? So you're bringing up the Nolan Batman stuff, right? So go ahead, get into it.
I mean, I genuinely think that there hasn't really been, like, I don't think there's really been a Batman movie. Maybe I wouldn't even say the original one with Michael Keaton. That is like a true adaptation of the character of the comics. There's loose ideas and stuff, but I think every movie has its problems. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend they're all perfect. Keaton kills the Joker in his first one, which I don't think Batman should ever kill. And the Nolan movies, I think obviously there are unrealistic things, but I don't like the grounded approach, because I think Batman as a character, he has fantastical villains. He's got all this crazy tech. Which the Nolan movies have. They have crazy tech and there's unrealistic things that happen, but I don't like how he kind of takes these villains and I think he kind of waters them down a lot. Like the League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul is, I couldn't even, I know it's, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now, but it's Liam Neeson. I feel like he's so forgettable, and which maybe that's just me in Batman Begins, but he shouldn't be because he's such a big character to Batman's mythos. I just feel like he kind of really, other than Heath Ledger's Joker, which I just wonder if it's because Heath Ledger's performance is so good. I feel like he kind of waters down a lot of these really great villains. In my opinion, I'm no Christopher Nolan, obviously, but like Bane, I think his Bane is very weak.
I didn't like the movies at all. I didn't like the Nolan Batmans at all. I didn't find any
Okay, I didn't.
redeeming quality at all. I didn't. I have a problem. I have a problem with. So first of all, I didn't like Dude's Batman. The voice killed
Bales, yeah.
The Batman voice was just not working for me.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
And the suit is horrible.
I didn't like in Batman Begins. I didn't like the save the entire world scenario. I don't ever believe that like the whole city was fucked, right? With this whatever the gas thing and everybody was. That was too. I was like, you should have toned that down a little bit more, right? I thought off the jump, especially if you're making more movies, why have that be the first thing he needs to save is the whole fucking city already? Like, let's bring it down a little bit, I think. It was weird. I thought it was just a weird, the island, whatever. Yeah, I think right, like they did a whole island thing. He got trapped on the island and fought everybody or whatever. It was boring to me. The Joker one, yes, his performance was fantastic as Joker, but then for whatever reason, they also had to throw in Two-Face. And then there was this whole section of him going to Asia, right? Like he went to Asia and beat up a bunch of people. Didn't need it. I thought it was just too much going on. And the third one I just thought was real. It was boring.
I don't know.
To me.
I'm a fan of Tom Hardy's Bane. I'll be the one. I'm a fan of that Bane. I understand it's not a great adaptation at all through Batman, but I think sometimes I would love to turn off my brain and be like, okay, it's not really a Batman movie. I know it is a Batman movie, but I would turn it off and be like, okay, actually this is really good. I like his character of Bruce Wayne, having to fight the Joker and Two-Face and Bane, and then Catwoman comes in. It's just, I do like that. I just do know that, Christopher Nolan probably did a lot of damages to the superhero world in general after those movies.
He did well, though, right? I mean, they still did well. He still got a lot of. They still did very good. I don't think anybody considers them the worst, and I think even comic book nerds, myself included, are still like, all right, it exists. I'm trying to think of so the Marvel, and that's DC. DC, I think, has had a harder time telling their stories than Marvel, right? At least within the last 20 years, other than Batman.
It's just really unfortunate.
Has DC done anything well?
I thought the first Wonder Woman was actually really enjoyable.
It was. No, you're right. You're right. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I can tell when someone is so hard trying to be like the MCU, then it gets to that point where I'm like, you have to do something completely different, or you're just doing what Marvel does, and then no one likes it. But if I am not a fan of Man of Steel whatsoever. I think that movie's absolute garbage, but I can see why some people might like it. So
I'm trying to remember, man. That's the one.
Well,
it was Zack Snyder.
It was Zack Snyder. Okay, yeah.
Adaptation of Superman.
I think DC's actually I think they've had some good movies. I think a lot of it is overhated. I think Aquaman, the first Aquaman, the second one is horrible, but that first Aquaman with Jason Momoa, I'm pretty sure that was that was James Wan directed it.
Horror guy.
A horror guy, and I really enjoyed that one. Patrick Wilson is Ocean Master, and I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of partial to Aquaman. I do enjoy him as a character. I think he's overhated.
Really?
But that movie I thought was
overhated. Now that's the term we should unpack.
Yeah. I think
Overhated.
I think a lot of people just boil him down to he's the fish guy,
Yeah.
which I think is just such disrespectful. I mean, same you wouldn't call Namor the fish guy. I mean, maybe you would, but like, he's the king of Atlantis. He can go blow to blow with Superman. There's a comic, it's by Jeff Johns, his Aquaman run. It's really good. There's he has a servant, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, who wants Atlantis to return to its former glory, and he sets up a war bidding Atlantis against the surface world, and he's kind of got to almost be a detective and figure out what's going on because he thinks it's Ocean Master who does it, but really it's this servant who's been by his side. It's a really well-written comic, but I definitely think, and there's a current run right now, Emperor Aquaman, and that's actually really enjoyable too. But I definitely think, he gets downplayed. But that movie made a lot of money, surprisingly.
Funny enough, that is the highest grossing DC movie ever, is Aquaman.
Really?
DC movie is Aquaman.
It was good. Maybe I might be categorized in some of the hate of Aquaman, just because I do feel it's a very hard movie. It's a hard story to tell out of comic book form, right? Where once, for me, and again, every superhero is fake and it's all a crazy world. But once I see somebody go underwater and do stuff, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm not going underwater. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a hard thing to do. I did love, though, in Justice League, I think it was, when you first see Aquaman, when you first learn about Aquaman, and he goes to the pub or whatever, that introduction, I think, is how you do it, right? To me, that's how it would introduce Aquaman. I liked how they did take away his, the orange and green weird suit, I guess. I think maybe that was an okay idea for the non, comic book person to end up watching it. Well, I mean, of course, Jason Momoa without a shirt, I'm sure you're getting people watching no matter. Overhate. Overhate. That's an interesting term.
I think I just think, and it sucks too, because I definitely think as a filmmaker, then you're kind of put in a box when it's like, this is a character who already, I feel like within like just the cultural zeitgeist is kind of just like a loser character for most people. So I think it's hard then to make a movie because you're like, I have to make an Aquaman movie and make people care about this guy when,
It's tough.
you got people just ripping on him. You got people, the boys, the Deep, ripping on him. You got, I'm sure that Robot Chicken or like Family Guy, there's countless gags about Aquaman.
What they tried to do with Aquaman, at least in the Justice League, maybe not so much in the movie Aquaman, but they tried to do like a Guardians of the Galaxy, right? They tried to make it a little bit more funny-ish.
They do. I mean, I really enjoy the Aquaman movie just because it's not afraid to be a comic book movie, which I feel like a lot of recent movies I feel sometimes are a little afraid, or they're kind of ashamed of what they're pulling from. Like with the Nolan movies, it almost feels like it's ashamed to be a Batman movie, at least for me, as someone who reads a lot of comics. And I
see that.
And I think this movie, it's just the suit. He's got the orange bright suit. You're not afraid. It's ridiculous, and you just kind of ride with it. Even the Sam Raimi movies, I mean, they are campy. They pull it. They're not afraid to be, and I think that just makes it way more charming. Superheroes are a ridiculous concept. They're super idealistic. They're just these bigger than life people, especially DC. I think it's more of like a mythos kind of thing than Marvel, as like I think Marvel is more, it's the world outside your window or whatever. That's kind of what they go off of. And Marvel's more of these larger than life, not that, or DC is more of these larger than life, they're gods, they're, not that.
Or space.
Marvel doesn't have, their own gods and mythos and stuff like that. But I just think, but no, I definitely think Aquaman is overhated. But Shazam was great. That first Shazam, me and Tristan saw that in theaters. I remember really liking that Shazam. And then you have the second Suicide Squad by James Gunn, which I thought was great.
We can have a whole segment talking about James Gunn saving the DC. But that'll
Right.
be a little bit later.
When
But I
Marvel,
think DC's had
technically.
some success.
So yeah, like DC actually does have really good movies. It's just that their stinkers are actually so awful that no one wants to watch it anymore. I'm very sorry if anyone loves the Zack Snyderverse, but those movies are horrible. Batman vs Superman is genuinely one of the worst things I think I've ever seen in my life.
I liked what it tried to do. I don't. First of all, I don't know why you go right to killing the whole death of Superman thing. I don't know why you get there so quickly. Right, that's
In his second movie.
Yeah, that's 5 movies in. I don't know what you're. You gotta let this breathe a little bit. But nobody has done it as good as the MCU, right? Nobody has tied all of this together, made you care about maybe some characters that could have been overhated. I remember when they first started coming out, they were like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna do Hulk," and I'm like, "Oh, again, great." And the Hulk was a pretty good movie. And they're like, "We're gonna do Iron Man." I'm like, "Well, you can't, I don't know if you can really do Iron Man well." Iron Man killed it. Then they're like, "We're gonna do Thor." I'm like, "I don't know if you can really do Thor well," and they killed it. And then same with Captain America, and they just kept growing and growing. And I think even up until when they wanted to do Moon Knight, and I'm like, they're gonna fuck that up. Moon Knight was pretty good.
I did not care for Moon Knight, but I think I'm in the minority.
Maybe.
Was so good.
I'm definitely in the minority.
I think they did a good job with the material.
Yeah.
I do love the Moon Knight comics back in the day, and I think they did a pretty good job material-wise. Now, that's the other trick, right? Not everybody going to see these things are comic book fans. You are. You already know a lot about the material, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm going to see a Punisher thing, I'm coming into it already with what needs to be in there, right? And is that wrong of me to do? You know what I mean?
No. I mean, I think the problem too is, and this is even with comic books in general, and I mean, definitely me as a film viewer and someone who likes to read, even there are characters, I like Superman, but I don't like certain people's runs as a comic fan. Every character has their own voice with different writers in comics, and the same kind of applies to movies where, they take the core elements of the characters or the big ideas and they say, well, I'm going to tell my own story. So they're not always going to be hits, but they're going to, I think for the most part, they stay pretty true to the character, but it's always hit or miss, I think. You're going to love it or hate it. It's the same thing with comics. Every character, like Mark Waid, I love how he writes Superman, but his Daredevil, I'm not as big of a fan of, but I love Mark Waid as a comic writer. So I think it applies to movies too. Everyone finds their voice, and it's,
And well, I think content-wise, right, think about this, and I mean, at least even when I was collecting comics and going to the comic store on a regular basis, this again was a very, 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 very long time ago. Even then, you may have had 3 or 4 different Spider-Man titles. Each of them would come out every month. You'd have a new book every month. Now, that was 30, maybe 40 years ago. So if you come out with a Spider-Man every month, and that was 40 years ago, how much more content do they have on books that you can keep making movies forever and TV shows or whatever. I mean, so much stories. But I will say, I do think it's hard if you do already know the material. So, for example, even with the Avengers, I knew where they were going, right? Once I saw Thanos and they started talking about the Infinity Stones, I knew right off the jump. One of my favorite books of all time is the Infinity War stuff, with Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock. And I knew they were kind of going that way, and they didn't have the rights to Silver Surfer, so Silver Surfer couldn't be part of that story. In fact, there's actually a scene where Hulk comes down, to Doctor Strange, and that he says, well, that was in the books. That's Silver Surfer doing that. It was upsetting to me because I'm like, that's what I'm waiting for. But again, they still killed it. They knocked it out of the park. It was still fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, from that perspective, I was really waiting for those stories. And I know now they're going to do Secret Wars, which is another one of my favorite books, or run of books. I don't know. We'll see how...
I do... What were you going to say?
I was going to say that, I mean, we'll see how they do it.
I was going to say, I do wonder if, because you say the Infinity Saga, like with the Infinity Wars, I genuinely wonder if, like, from a comic book experience, like going to the movies, if, like, anything will ever top that as an experience. Because that just felt, you know what I mean? That, as a movie, I mean, it's the culmination of everything. It just felt like the perfect, you know, comic going experience. I don't know if it'll ever be topped.
That's kind of like the peak of watching superhero movies is Infinity War.
You're talking mostly about like the end battle, right?
That, I mean, I would even say that whole movie of all these characters, I mean, it felt like a comic book where it's all your characters are jumping into this big crossover event. And you have all these characters that you watched all these movies from. And I mean, it's the same thing with the first Avengers, but to a larger scale. And I mean, I just remember leaving the theater with the snap scene, and, you know, I don't think that movie will ever be topped. It was, at least for, you know, it's probably not, like, I think The Batman is a better movie, or like even The Dark Knight is a better movie, but that is a comic book experience. I mean, that will never be topped, I don't think.
And hands down, no lie, this is more an Endgame, is that the on your left, forget about it. I break down. I get teared up every single time, no matter what. That,
and when he gets the hammer, oh my god,
nailed it. Yeah, and that's, it's not often that you see in movie theaters where people actually cheer, like in the middle of the movie, like they freak out. And I remember seeing that in the theater, and that whole entire sequence, man, people were fucking cheering. It was insane.
Now that is over, I think after that is when we get to the superhero fatigue, you know, business. It's kind
and
of
you have superhero fatigue.
I never had superhero fatigue, but that's a personal thing because I love comic books so much.
Well,
I don't know if it's...
So Ethan, do you so you read comics a lot?
I do.
Do you even get fatigued? So again, like, at least for me, it was, you know, the way it worked back in the day is at the comic book store, you would pay a monthly fee for your subscriptions, right? So they'd say, you know, here's $20. I want. Can you pull aside for me, you know, The Amazing Spider-Man? Can you pull aside for me Punisher War Journal? Can you pull, you know, whatever you picked? And they would pull that aside, and that's what you would take home and read and collect. Do you, even with that, you can get fatigued? Because after 30 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, I'm like, nah, maybe I won't get this next month. You know what I mean?
I don't feel that ever. I mean, the way it works now is it's similar. I have a pull list, and I go to I go to a comic book place in Skipback, New Wave Comic. That's great.
Yeah, no.
And
It's a good spot.
It's the way it is now. Every Wednesday, new comics come out. It's every Wednesday, so it'll be the publishers come out, and some weeks are just heavier than others. Right now, DC has a great initiative with the Absolute line. It's just a flip. Like, Batman isn't a millionaire, you know, he's a working class guy. Joker is a billionaire. Absolute Flash, you know, the Speed Force, it's still unraveling the story, but he doesn't have that connection to the Speed Force like that. You know, it's Wally West, and he gets his powers from a military experiment, not, you know, not like Barry, where he's in a lab and the chemicals and the lightning. But I never feel fatigued because the stories are well written, and I think that's the problem, is it's a quality and a quantity thing. I feel like there's so many things just getting pumped out or rushed. Like, I feel like the Secret Wars movie is rushed. Like, I'm not as excited. In the movie sense.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not as excited. I mean, obviously, a publisher getting to just publish, you know, you get a month break in between is different than these movie studios that have, you know, you have contracts, you got people getting old, you can't, you know.
Yeah,
so it's not the same. but you gotta do it quick. But like I just feel like the problem is it's a rushing thing, you know, and it's not like you have these characters who they introduce, at least like with phase what was that, with phase 3 or whatever of, you know, with the Infinity Saga. I feel like every movie kind of was important or it added something to it.
Yes.
I haven't watched really anything in the newer phase. I've watched Wonder Man, which was great, but I don't even think that's really going to play a huge role into it. Like a lot of the characters I feel like got sidelined. I mean, they introduced the Fantastic Four quick, but you know, and also too, I think they're going to do a soft reboot. But that's what I feel like they're going to do with Secret Wars. So it's hard for me to feel attached to these characters, knowing it's about to be, you know, they're probably going to start going more on an X-Men route, or you know, they're getting all these rights. So for me as a moviegoer, it's not the same because I just don't care about these characters as much as I did, you know, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. You know, Chris Hemsworth is still there, but you know, I cared a lot more about these characters, and I think that's the problem, is these studios kind of lost that. Maybe that's just me.
They sort of abandoned the formula that worked, right?
Yeah,
when
for
you
sure.
had something that completely worked. You did bring up an interesting point, though, in the comics, and this is, of course, with any book or any literature, because comic books are literature. It's easier to change your story and have people go along with it. In movies, it would be harder. So, for example, you just mentioned Flash in the comic right now. In this run, he gets his powers completely different. He has a completely different origin story, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
If you did that in the movies, right now they came out with a Flash movie like that and just changed it. Or they said, hey, we're going to do Spider-Man, but it's not even going to be Spider-Man what you know. We're going to do it this way. I feel like that's a harder sell for an audience.
I think the big thing too is with comics, I mean, there's so much out there of a character already that's established. If you want, you know, if you want to see Spider-Man at his purest, you're going to go read, you know, Todd McFarlane's run or Stan Lee's run. But if you want something shaken up, you're going to go read the Ultimate run by, oh my gosh, I think it's Bendis. He does the Ultimate Spider-Man. And it's a whole different thing. But with these movies, you know, they don't get pumped out as quick. So, and some of these characters you've never really even seen properly adapted to the silver screen. I mean, Spider-Man, or the big, you know, whatever. Spider-Man's a different story, but like The Flash, there's been one live action movie and it's not good, so I'm not really going to count it. So like, you would want that proper telling of the character. You know, same thing with, like, I would say Green Lantern. The show's coming out. The Ryan Reynolds movie is horrible. So I would want, you know, and I'm really anxious for this show.
Bad? What made Green Lantern bad?
I have to rewatch it, honestly, but I mean, the CGI is bad. I will say,
they're kind of like a little bit comic accurate in some aspects, but it's just Ryan Reynolds, I don't think, plays a good Hal Jordan at all.
I also think the problem too is you rush into Parallax, which is the big bad. That's like if an Iron Man, all of a sudden Thanos shows up right away. Parallax is a Justice League level threat. You know, Hal Jordan gets possessed by Parallax and he beats up Superman. He beats the whole Justice League. I just think it's that downplay of that character. I actually think they do his origin some justice. I don't think he does a good Hal Jordan. But I have to definitely rewatch it. I've been trying not to because it'll leave a sour taste in my mouth.
Right.
But I just think it's that. And it's the same thing, I think, with the problem with a lot of superhero movies now is it's that rush. You know, the Zack Snyder movies, they rushed trying to catch up to Marvel. They did Batman v Superman, Civil War. They're trying to catch up, but nothing's established. It's the same thing with that Green Lantern movie. You know, it's just, it doesn't do a service to his character. I mean, obviously that's me as someone, I care about Green Lantern. Hal Jordan is one of my favorite comic book characters.
I look at it this way, I guess. I would have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so it's different for me because I care about the character more, but I guess as a general audience, I don't know why the movie was hated so much. Probably just because it just wasn't good. But, you know, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I look at it, so in order to really make this happen well, I feel like you really have to live in there, right? Lord of the Rings, I think, is a perfect example. When dude decided to make Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson. I grew up, reading Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, there's no way you can make a movie out of this. Like, it's impossible. It's going to be the worst thing ever. But he did it. He lived in that material. He loves it so much. He spent years cultivating, not only the sets, but the whole idea, and he really brought the entire world to life. And I feel like that's what Marvel Cinematic Universe did to the comic book movies, rather than, like in Green Lantern, they were just like, let's make a Green Lantern movie. Well, if you're going to make a Green Lantern movie, you have to build that whole world. You have to live in that world where you do still have Superman and you do have all this stuff, but, here's this universe. And I feel like that's what Marvel did so well, was step by step, they brought you into that whole world. It was 360. And I feel like they kind of gotten away from that now, because everything's just sort of all over the place. DC, I felt, sort of didn't build the whole universe around it. And not necessarily, when you read a comic book, you don't need to know that, right? If I pick up Green Lantern 287, I don't need to know this whole world.
Mythos.
But I feel like the fact that you're just picking up a comic book, you get that. Right? You're kind of going to get it. There's ads for other comic books in it. You know what I mean? There's a little Spider-Man in every fucking Marvel book somewhere. You'll see it. I don't know. I think that would be the way to approach any sort of superhero movie, when it's part of that larger literature.
I agree, but I also think what Marvel did perfectly through the first 3 phases was allow the characters to be themselves in their own movie. Because you can watch Captain America by itself and not watch Avengers, and you're okay with it. Like, there's other movies that I would want them to be good standalone movies while also being connected to the larger universe. I think not a lot of people do that. And I think who's perfected it is James Gunn perfectly.
He definitely does some really good hero movie, that's for sure. Even as a comic book person, Guardians of the Galaxy was not. Well, it was different when I read it. It wasn't even how it is now, but they certainly weren't on anybody's radar to be a big part of anything that they did. So I thought that was a ballsy move.
And now Guardians are like an A-tier superhero team just because of James Gunn alone.
Right.
But now we're getting into James Gunn's DC universe, which I don't know about you guys, but this is slowly starting to become one of my favorite things to be excited for. Me and Ethan saw Superman literally early screening to watch it because we were so excited, and it was the best superhero movie outside of Christopher Reeve. So,
superhero movie or Superman?
Superman.
Okay. Superman. It was really good. I thought it was ballsy. It was a great take on the character, on the dull character. I mean, let's be honest. It's Truth, Justice, the American Way is not that exciting anymore. It's a hard sell. But they did a fantastic job, I thought. The villain, the villain is always, to me, what makes things really work. The 89 Batman, actually, which I just recently rewatched, you wouldn't have that without Jack Nicholson. Right? Jack Nicholson's Joker was fucking phenomenal at the time.
That's with every superhero movie too. Like, the superhero needs to be awesome, but his villain also needs to be equally, if not better, than the actual superhero.
Yeah, or I'd say equal.
Like, Lex Luthor clearly can't beat Superman just off of pure strength, but like with his brain, he's equally as dominant, and he uses tactics to beat Superman. And I think both, in the movie and in comic books, he does that.
Yes. Also had Guy Gardner in this movie too, which is my favorite
Yeah, he was
Lantern,
awesome.
I guess you could say.
We have all three favorite Green Lanterns. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was definitely great.
Yeah. No, I think it was a really good movie. I have to rewatch it because I've only seen it that once.
I've seen it like 5 times. I'm not gonna lie.
I've seen it 6 times.
There you go. Oh, so okay, you
Yeah.
won the Superman award. And I
Yeah,
guess now,
yeah.
are you guys excited for Supergirl?
Very
Yeah,
excited.
I'm very excited. It's just it feels like a Guardians movie in a way, and I really like it. It does feel like a Guardians movie when you look at it.
I mean, I guess, but like I think I see that all the time on the internet, and I fear that like that discourse is gonna like because like I don't think you're saying it in a negative way, but the comic came out in the Woman of Tomorrow is the comic it's based off of by Tom King. Yeah, there it is. Great book. And it's a really good read. But you know, the whole thing is set in space, and like I just wonder, because I see people say that about Supergirl, but like if when they do lanterns properly, because it looks like the show is going to be on Earth, but when they do go to space, you know, and it's a group of people, are they just going to be like, oh, it's James Gunn's doing Guardians of the Galaxy because that's all he knows. But it's like that's the characters, you know. These are space people who are, you know, going to planets, stopping, you know, threats. Like I just wonder, because I always see people say that, and I just feel like it's such a weird. Not that you're saying it in a negative way, because I am excited that it does give me Guardians vibes, because those Guardian movies are great. But like I'm always confused when people say that, because I feel like is anything in space now going to be like this is just like if they do a Silver Surfer movie, are people going to say it's like Guardians because he's in space?
It moved away from Star Wars and now it's Guardians.
Right. I think for me though, when you have not only space, but like the needle drops and like the choice of music, also kind of gives
That's
me
fair.
a James Gunn Guardians feel.
Definitely.
And it's just like the crazy characters that are in it. Like there's Lobo is in it.
The main man.
The little girl, I don't know her name. I didn't read the comic book, but the girl that she follows, and then
You have it, but you didn't read it.
No,
You gotta-
I'm about to.
You gotta get cracking on that. If it makes you feel any better, I cannot remember her name.
But yeah, she kind of it feels like a character, you know, that James Gunn would do. And I know it's not James Gunn that's doing the movie, but obviously he has his hands in it. So I think one that in this DC universe that I think has me more excited, especially this year, is the Clayface movie, which that looked tight, man. That looked so.
I agree. That's the movie I'm most excited for, superhero-wise.
I've seen a little bit about it. I have a weird. It's strange. I haven't ever been engrossed, ever, even by comic books. I don't think by a supervillain standalone. I thought Venom was terrible. I don't need to see a Penguin show, although it was actually pretty good. It was pretty good.
Well, you're totally glossing over the Joker movie, which was
That first Joker was good. The second one, not so much.
Yeah, the Joker movie was good, but I'm going to be honest. The Joker movie really was just Taxi Driver, and it was literally a remake of some old Scorsese movies. So
well, just because Robert De Niro in it doesn't mean.
no, believe me, it's
almost Taxi Driver.
It's Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
And it's I'm sorry. There's another Scorsese movie, which the name is now escaping me. With De Niro in it. Anyway, I get it. It was a pretty good movie, but I wouldn't say I'm gonna care about it, right? Even the Joker comics. Joker had its own comic runs too, and I was like, meh. So it's hard for me to think about. Yeah, let's do Clayface. I don't want to. What was the other one they just did? Mephisto or
they did Craven the Hunter, which was
Craven,
not great.
But didn't
Mephisto shows up in Ironheart, but he didn't get his own.
I'm thinking of not Mephisto. There was a vampire.
Oh,
Yeah, Morbius. That awful
Morbius.
Yeah,
Morbius.
of all time.
Yeah. Again,
it's Morbin time. I have it on Blu-ray.
again, I don't need any of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. A Clayface movie, I don't know.
But you've watched Batman the animated series, right? And but it's taking allegedly, which people say this all the time whenever they're making a movie, like, oh, I'm pulling from this, or when they're adapting something. But allegedly, he's pulling from the Feet of Clay episodes, which those 2 episodes with Clayface, I think, are some of the strongest Batman the animated series episodes, maybe behind Heart of Ice with Mr. Freeze. So I think if they do it properly, I don't know, I'm all game. I like to shake it up a little, because I think a lot of with that superhero fatigue is everything kind of bleeds in now. I feel like it all feels the same. So maybe this is kind of a good shakeup. I don't know. What do you think
I hope
about
so,
that?
and I hope it's good stuff. Again, we're talking, you go to the movies, it's almost like $40 out of your pocket, right? So I feel like it's harder to test the waters, you know what I mean? And especially if you're talking no movie is anymore 90 minutes. So every movie is like 3 hours. So that's a lot of time out of your day, right? For somebody old as me to really focus in on something. So, it'd be interesting.
I will be honest though. I think I at least have my full trust into James Gunn doing the superhero world justice, only because of what you said. It's like he's making it different with every movie. I feel like Superman had a clear, hopeful vision, and I think Supergirl's gonna have this, chaoticness and feel goodness. But then Clayface clearly is gonna be dark and going to be gritty, and then I think different genres are gonna happen in this DC universe, which I think is even more exciting.
So Supergirl coming out. We mentioned Wonder Woman earlier. There isn't a lot of female-driven. So it's obviously for a long time been a male-dominated thing, and even the fans. Now we are starting to get, there are hot comic book fans, right? Women-wise now. There didn't always used to be. So you're starting to get a more woman feel to it, but there still isn't that that hero for women, essentially.
It kind of just,
Captain Marvel a little, and Wonder Woman, of course, but and now Supergirl may push that over the hill, right? Maybe.
I hope so. It's just also like there's not really that many like A-tier women superhero leads than men, and I think that's because back then that's all they were creating was stories for boys.
I think Scarlet Witch is hugely popular, though. That can't be understated. That WandaVision show, and then also Multiverse of Madness, I feel like I see a lot of people really enjoy her character in those movies. I feel like she's a big fan favorite.
Well, she's my favorite, for sure.
What?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Scarlet Witch, and well, the actress too that plays it is astounding. By far
Elizabeth Olsen?
Yeah, by far one of the best. Hands down, she's a great actress.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I think she's probably done it the best of any, woman on screen as a superhero. I mean, I think that first Wonder Woman, like I said, is really good. It's just a shame the other movies that came out. 1984 was really bad, and then and then her performance in Justice League definitely was not the best.
It also doesn't help that the actress also is not that great either.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I like the Catwoman version in the Batman. She's awesome. I love Zoe Kravitz. So she, not so much a superhero, I guess, but her portrayal in there is good. I do also like Supergirl, and I'm looking forward to this. So.
Oh, Sue Storm and Kirby. Is it Vanessa Kirby? She's or is that her name? Yeah, she was really good in the Fantastic Four movie. I thought she was the best part of that Fantastic Four movie.
Well, I'm gonna say the Silver Surfer was the best part because the Silver Surfer is my favorite.
She was great too in that.
She was good too.
The girl from Weapons, I forget her name now.
But she was great. But that movie was kind of a mess.
A little bit.
I liked it though. I thought it was a good.
I liked it.
I don't know.
I think they should have
Back in
lost
time,
though.
What's that?
I thought they should have lost. I didn't like Galactus kind of getting nerfed when he came to Earth. I thought that was a little, because he was that first entrance when you see his silhouette in like the galaxy, and he's so intimidating, and then he gets to Earth, and I just all of a sudden he's not as intimidating.
They finally did Galactus.
I don't know.
After the fart cloud in the 2000s movies.
Fan Four Stick.
It is kind of weird. Why not build up to Galactus? That's a weird. Right from the jump.
For sure.
Have Galactus, I thought, was a strange choice. Because you're
Yeah,
right. Now,
I mean, why-
now he just looks like a punk.
Yeah, that I don't know. Or why not build up Doctor Doom? Why not have Doctor Doom be the main bad of your movie? Because you got Secret War and Doomsday, and it's like we're the only two movies we're gonna have with RDJs. Doctor Doom is gonna be Doomsday and Secret Wars, so it's like, how much can you build him up? I don't know. Maybe it would have been good to have him be that main big bad, but then that's a tough call.
I mean, if they're doing Secret Wars correctly, you need both Galactus and Doctor essentially together, literally together.
I think it's going to be the Jonathan Hickman's
it's gonna be the
2018
newer
one.
Yeah,
The newer one, not the original.
I'm sure.
Which
They better that's where they better give the black suit though. I'll say that right now.
Oh yeah,
They better do
Another
that.
thing. Spider-Man.
surely. There's no way they don't.
Yeah, they have to. They have to.
Unless he gets it in Brand New Day.
Yeah, I mean, there's
he
another
could.
Spider-Man movie coming out this year. I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm excited. Just, the Sony Spider-Man movies / Marvel movies. I'm not a huge fan of like the Tom Holland ones. I do like them. I don't think they're at all better than the originals. I mean, I think they're better than the Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
But I mean,
I think they're
is
good.
it-
I
would-
love
would
the
it
new
be like
Spider-Man.
still- What's up?
Tom Holland, I think, is a perfect Peter Parker though.
He's a great Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's just I don't like his character being intertwined with Iron Man so much. That never really sat right with me.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
I don't know. I think Homecoming is really good. That first one with him, I really enjoyed Homecoming. And I just don't like that. But then Far From Home, I didn't like that Jake Gyllenhaal was that Iron Man. I worked for Iron Man. That was kind of a loss for me.
Oh right.
To
And
me,
then-
though,
And then
the Vulture's a good villain, but he's just an Avengers villain because he's throwing from the Avengers like his power or his gauntlet and his mech suits are from what the Avengers did, and then now Spider-Man has to stop him because the Avengers aren't there.
I don't mind that necessarily because it just shows that there are other ramifications to the things going on in this world, because it's like, yeah, this huge event happened in New York. You're telling me that some people didn't get this alien tech and aren't using it for bad. It makes it feel more fleshed out. So that part doesn't bother me too much. And I thought Michael Keaton was great as the Vulture too.
Oh, he was great. Again, a lot of it depends on the bad guy. Who's the best villain? Person to play the villain.
Movie only or TV show as well?
We could do TV show as well.
This is such a hard question, dude.
Well, actually, now that you bring up
Yeah.
the TV show, I know who I'm going to say.
I know who I'm gonna say.
Bro, you go first, Tristan.
I was just now I just have a bias towards Ryan Coogler movies, and I think Killmonger was really good. His story and backstory with why he did what he did is because his uncle killed his father and left him in Oakland by himself. Then he went back to Wakanda. He got he was now the king of Wakanda for a little bit, and then he didn't want to be saved. He didn't want to be in a prison. He just said, just throw me back into the the ocean with his ancestors and everything. So I like Killmonger a lot, and also Michael B. Jordan is a great actor, so that's me.
Who wants to go?
Sorry, that was a lot.
I will. Vincent D'Onofrio
Yeah.
as Kingpin,
Yeah,
I think is
me too.
the. If I had to just, if I was accounting a TV show seems a little cheap because obviously he's got more time to grow on you, but I mean he's killer. I honestly I couldn't envision anybody else playing Kingpin. Like I can envision other people playing the Joker, or Thanos, or but I genuinely could not see anybody else playing Kingpin. He is that good.
Perfect. He is scary. He is mean. Oh my goodness. Perfect. Yeah, when I think of Kingpin, that would be where I'm at with Kingpin. Unbelievable.
Ethan totally just stole your guy, dude.
He did. No, that's absolutely what I would pick. Outside of that, there's no. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything. Although,
I mean, if I had to just say,
honestly, rewatching the 1989 Batman, Jack Nicholson was fucking phenomenal.
He's the best Joker. I think.
He was crazy.
The origin is obviously clearly a lot different, but I mean, I still really enjoyed it.
It was great.
I guess if it was movie only, I love Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin in that first Spider-Man movie. It's so good, it's so campy, and then I mean he's the best part of No Way Home. So yeah. I just think he's great. I mean, even if he's not that close to being comic accurate, whatever, I think he's great. He just such a good performance, and he's perfect for the vibe of the movie. It's campy, and he just plays that to a T. I mean, Willem Dafoe's such a great actor, but I would give it to Vincent D'Onofrio if I could count. If I can count shows too, he's just so good.
Yeah, no, I agree. You want to do what's next? What do you want to do next, Tristan?
Let's real quick before we go on to the small screen. I want to ask all of us the best superhero movie you've seen and the worst superhero movie you've seen. I will go first. I think the best superhero movie that I've seen is Logan. It's probably the only movie that doesn't feel like an entire superhero movie, but Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is. I mean, I think he's another guy. I don't see anyone really playing Wolverine other than Hugh Jackman now because of that movie. It's so good. And
yeah, that was a great movie.
Patrick Stewart as Professor X is amazing. Then I would say the worst superhero movie I've seen. I could say a whole bunch, and I'm not going to say the one that's obvious, but I'm going to say there's a Generation X movie that came out, I think, in the late 90s. It was a direct-to-TV. It had Banshee from X-Men and Emma Frost from X-Men, and it was just the worst. Jubilee was in it. There was a whole bunch of different things that they're trying to do. There's like a scene where a guy is stretching out in his car. He has like stretched arms, and it looks awful. It was terrible. I never want to see it ever again.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I'll go, I guess. I'm not gonna. The 1989 Batman obviously has a very special place in my heart, but I'm not gonna say that's the best I've ever seen. I think the one that I just, again, if it's on television, I have to watch it till the end for whatever reason. Days of Future Past, I think, is just one that I fucking love. Every time I catch any part of it, I'm like, oh, I gotta keep watching this movie. It was a good comic book story, but I just think it was just a great turn. Going from the X-Men, movies to sort of like now the new X-Men stuff. It was a great transition using time travel. It was a great soundtrack. It was a great Michael Fassbender. I think you just can't say enough his story of being a compelling, not only villain but character, is so good. So I would say that's probably the best one I think I've ever seen, where I'm like, yeah, that's how you fucking do it. The worst, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. The worst has, to me at least, has to be the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie. That movie. I'll set the stage for you real quick. So it was late '80s. Again, I'm full-on comic nerd at this point, right? By the way, that's not a horse. That's my dog. If you're here galloping, it's not Shadowfax. The So late '80s. I'm a huge comic book nerd, as I am, right? And Punisher was very new. Very recent came out. We all had the first comic book Punisher. We loved that character and how dark it was, and there was a lot of graphic novels that were dark, and they're coming out with a Punisher movie, and it's Dolph Lundgren. He doesn't even have the suit at all. I didn't know what the hell they were going for in this movie. It shouldn't even been called The Punisher. It was just an absolute garbage movie. So that's it for me. It was not only disappointing, but it was just also a shit movie. So there you go.
All right, easy one.
Yeah, my favorite superhero movie that I think I've seen, I love The Batman by Matt Reeves. I think it's my favorite. Even though it's a super long movie, I think I've watched it also 6 times. Like I've watched that Superman movie that James Gunn just came out. I love Gotham's aesthetic. I think it nails it. It's the only one that rivals it is that Michael Keaton one where it doesn't feel like a real city. This is Gotham. Like I am transported to another world, which is what I should feel when I watch a DC movie, because it is a different world. I love the action sequences in the Batman. The fights in the Iceberg Lounge, I still remember the part where they're shooting at him and he's just decking them out, and the lights from the machine gun is when you can see him fighting. It's so great. I do like seeing some more of the detective side. That car chase with the Penguin is so good. That shot where the car is flipped over and he's walking towards him is great. I love the Riddler in that movie. Despite what who was it that was hating on Quentin Tarantino said about Paul Dano. I thought he was great as the Riddler.
Yeah.
He was, he's a lunatic. He was definitely, it was great. I mean, I love that movie so much, and I'm so excited to see what they do with the sequel. And the part where he is with the city with the flood, and he's walking the people through in the flood with the flare, and he's got all the people behind him coming. Oh, it is such a great movie. It feels like a Batman comic. I love it so much. And I think the worst comic book movie I've ever seen is Thor: Love and Thunder. I hate this movie so much. The comic that it's based off of, Thor, God of Thunder, the God Butcherer, it's by Jason Aaron, I'm pretty sure, is the writer on that. And the artwork is amazing. It's by Asad Ribic, I think is his name. I could have just butchered how to pronounce his name, no pun intended. But it is it's this amazing story. There's 3 Thors in it. It's his younger self, his present self, and his older self, and they collide into this story, and it's just this huge, larger than life mythology story, and they just ruined it. I mean, you can only do so much, but there's the display of the gods that he kills. He barely butchers any gods in the movie, despite the name, which I understand it's a Marvel movie, you can only do so much, but it's just the grandeur of the comic. It was lost. All the humor, I think, in it is horrible. The CGI is not great. The Heimdall's kid's floating head, I still remember that, is terrible. And I remember going to see it with my friend, and I'm pretty sure Thor does say he's right behind me, isn't he? And I looked over at my friend because he had already seen it the day before me, and he's staring at me smiling because he knew I was so excited to see this comic brought to life. And because they were like, oh, Gore the God Butcher is going to be in it. And I was like, oh, sweet. No way they messed this up. I was wrong. So that was the worst for me, at least.
I definitely agree with that. The Thor: Love and Thunder was awful. And it sucks because it came off the coattails of Thor Ragnarok, which is such a good movie. And then just do that. It was awful.
And the screaming goats, the carriages that fly, the screaming goat from like 2015, that like goat sound, I was like, oh, every time I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that was
It was, it was bad.
all right. Moving on now to the small screen spotlight. We have. I hope Ethan come prepared with this TV show that he wants to talk about, but each of us will talk about a TV show, obviously from the superhero world. Who wants to take that away?
I'll go first because shouldn't be long. The name was brought up earlier of Todd McFarlane. Again, going way back to the late '80s when he did some runs of Spider-Man, and then he left Spider-Man to do his own thing in 1992 called Spawn. Boom was first on the scene to get that very first comic book. Still have it to this day. A beautifully run comic. Fantastic. It was obviously a little bit darker. Dealt with some pretty dark themes. Great. Also, a black superhero, number one. It was great. It was an exciting time at the time as a comic book fan that this was happening. And then a few years later, I want to say 97-ish, HBO, which back in the day, even to this day, had great programming, very adult-themed programming. They made some very harsh shows. Well, they came out with the cartoon of Spawn. So this is the animated Spawn TV show. This is, I believe, the whole series, which I think it only ran for 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons. 3 seasons. This show is off the chain. First of all, the art is fantastic in it. The story is fantastic. It is dark. This is the way Spawn should have been in the movie that they did of him. And in fact, when this came out, when they did the actual movie, it was so much of a disappointment because if you watched this, you were expecting something more adult. You were expecting something a little bit more intense, and it was not. But this, as an animated show, I will put up against any TV show. This is dark, and it's great. Anybody who I think is a Todd McFarlane fan or any Spawn fan, this is a must to watch. The clown is amazing. The murder in it is amazing. The whole entire thing in this is something you watch with the lights off. It is great. So that's my small screen.
Cool. Quickly before I talk about mine real quick, the movie is still really good. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I like that Spawn movie. Anyway.
Whatever floats your boat, man.
Anyway, I don't think it's even a surprise what superhero TV show I'm going to talk about. Both of you guys know that The Flash is my favorite superhero of all time. So the CW first put out a TV show for the Green Arrow called The Arrow with Stephen Amell. And the first 2 seasons were not bad. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. And then they decided we need to broaden the CW verse into a whole television universe. And then they pick The Flash, and immediately it hooks me to my core. From the Justice League show, not Justice League Unlimited, I think it's just called Justice League, where Wally West is a part of the Justice League, and that animation is really what made me fall in love with The Flash. But even more so now with Grant Gustin playing The Flash. And I gotta be honest, the first 3 seasons are the only seasons to watch of that show. Because after season 3, the show is actually really bad. It's pretty bad. The acting is not great, and the storylines get very confusing, and also the CGI also isn't great. But that's no matter. The first season is really, 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 really good. Obviously, Barry's whole origin story, You get to meet, Iris, who again, I don't know the actress's name, but she was a childhood crush of mine just because she's Iris West and the Flash likes her, so I like her. And also the whole Star Labs crew, Cisco and Caitlin and Harrison Wells, they're all amazing. They're just great. I love Cisco Ramon so much. He's so funny, and he always has some cool shirts. It kind of reminds me of like the Big Bang Theory in a way, of how they're all wearing like cool shirts, and he's just this big nerd. But yeah, I mean the Reverse Flash, in the comics has never really been like this at all. So it's actually kind of interesting that he took, someone else's body, go back in time, and does this, takes over Harrison Wells's thing just to mess with the Flash, just to, beat him in a way and make him weaker. I really like that first season, and I wish I had my wallet on me. It's downstairs, but I have a Zoom wallet because the Zoom character in the other season is just as amazing. From another universe, it was Jay Garrick. I mean, that's a whole other can of worms. It's Jay Garrick, so I loved that Flash TV.
It was great. It was really good. I remember actually, I think we watched the ending of the first season, and yeah, tearing up. Like it actually hooked you in. Like everything with his mother and all that. That was yeah, I definitely got teary eyed for sure.
And I even like the dynamic with Joe, his his foster dad that he took in. I love that character so much too. So the Flash is is just a main staple in my life, and I like the TV show, regardless of the other seasons and the ending. I still think it does the Barry Allen character justice.
Nice. No, I thought it was a great show.
Pick.
What
the show I picked, I'm glad I changed it because I was originally going to do the Spawn show, and I'm glad I switched it to make it a little bit different because I picked Justice League Unlimited, which is a show very near and dear to me. It's got, I think, some of the best voice acting. I mean, you have Kevin Conroy Batman, which is the arc of Batman the animated series. You have Clancy Brown, who does Lex Luthor's voice. I think he has an all-time, I would put him up there with Mark Hamill's Joker for voicing a villain. I love his portrayal of Lex Luthor. The thing this show does he's also an Invincible too, which I know that's he's one of the Viltrumites, but he's great, he's phenomenal. And but one thing this show does, which I love, is that it is very much a comic book. It feels like a love letter to DC fans. There's characters that are, D tier listers, not big names, that get whole episodes devoted to them. I love Jack Kirby's work with the Fourth World, and Mr. Miracle and Big Barda get an episode tied together. The Flash, Wally West, helps them in their efforts to go to Apocalypse, and it's just a beautiful story. And they balance it so well. There's an episode adapting an Alan Moore comic for The Man Who Has Everything, a Superman story, where he gets this parasite on his chest and it gives him his dream world, and he's in Krypton. It never blows up. He has a family. He has a son. He loves everyone, and he has a normal life on Krypton, which is what this Superman has always wanted. Being Clark Kent is a huge deal to him. And he realizes that this world is fake, and he has to say goodbye to his son. And it's such an emotional episode. But then you go to an episode where Wonder Woman gets turned into a pig, and the Justice League members have to go find her before she gets put into like a slaughterhouse. And they have to stop Cersei and change her back. And they balance it so well that there's episodes where it's so emotionally gripping, and then it goes right into something that just feels right out of a comic book. One of my favorite episodes is The Greatest Story Never Told, which it focuses on Booster Gold. He's a jobber, he's just there. There's this wizard downtown in the Justice League. They're getting pushed around, but they're like, you're on evac duty, you got to get civilians out. And he's like, and he's a jerk, he's from the future, he just wants to he's all about fame and glory. And while all this is happening, while there's this big fight downtown, there's a lab that has this huge accident where they're trying to do this like renewable energy, and this guy gets infused with this black hole in his chest, and he's just like sucking up parts of the city, and he's about to reach critical mass and destroy the world. He's going to turn to a black hole. And Booster Gold, he's willing to sacrifice himself because he's finally, at first he's like, I can't do this. I'm not a hero. I'm a fraud. I'm a loser. And he is ready to sacrifice himself. He gets sucked into this guy, and before he gets sucked into the black hole, he puts the collar on that shuts him down. And it looks like he dies, but he gets spit back out. But he was ready to lay his life on the line. It's just, they highlight all these great characters, and they do it so well. I mean, I could go on and on about this show. It is fantastic. But yeah.
It's a really good show too. That's the Jon Stewart adaptation from that show is really what made me fall in love with Jon Stewart as Green Lantern.
He's great. Voiced by Samurai Jack. Oh, what is his name? It's I think it's like Phil something, but he is great as yeah. And I was gonna say also he is in Pulp Fiction, right?
Yeah.
But he is yes, he is great. So that's my pick.
And going back to Clancy Brown, Tristan, he is also in Lost, by the way.
Did you guys bring up that he was in SpongeBob as Mr. Krabs?
Well, he is.
I thought that was the obvious.
Yeah, that was the obvious.
Everyone.
But he's in, more importantly, he's in Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good pick.
So, honestly, there's so many great superhero TV shows out there too that just go on and on a whole episode about superhero TV shows. But because I think another one of my favorites is it's called the Superhero Squad. It's a Marvel animated show. Really, just
great. Yeah.
That show is peak, by the way, peak superhero. It's amazing. But with that, going on to the final segment of the episode, we have our movie of the month. Now, last episode, we spun on the Will Smith Hancock movie.
Peter Berg directed. Peter Berg directing.
It was an interesting movie, to say the least. I think it's such a early 2000s movie. It's not really that serious, but Will Smith being in it also kind of takes it maybe down a couple notches for me. But
as far in terms of what, like seriousness? Yeah, this is definitely the time where Will Smith was a blockbuster guy, right? You know, Men in Black, Independence Day, Bad Boys. You know, he was now the it person, and this is, I think, even before he started to really get a little bit more serious with his acting, right? You know, doing the Ali movie and whatever else. I don't know how I feel about it. I thought it was a fun movie. It's absolutely a fun movie. I think Jason Bateman is awesome. Jason Bateman is, and if you watch Arrested Development, you would understand this. But Jason Bateman is 100% the normal character that you put into any fucked up situation, and he will make it funny. Like he is the straight guy in the world of craziness, right? The world's nuts around him, and he can still just be like, yeah, you know, we're not gonna do this. You know, he's a very straight guy, perfect for the role. There is not very many people more gorgeous in film than Charlize Theron, I think. She lights up the screen. She's a very silver screen type of actress, but she's also actually a really good actress too. So like in this, you kind of get a lot of that. The story, you know, it's a modern day superhero who, you know, a drunk superhero would make sense in this day and age. More in that day and age, I forget how old the movie is. It's early 2000s. So yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think?
Personally, I actually really enjoyed it. I love the concept I like the concept of the only guy who has, you know, seemingly the only guy who has powers at the start of this movie is just this jerk. He doesn't care about anything. He's just, you know, he's not really in it for the love of the game, I guess is the word I'm looking for. You know, he's just kind of doing his own thing, and he does do the right thing, but just doesn't care, you know. And I love a PR guy going in to be like, we got to clean up your act. And I thought the idea of him going to prison to, try and, the public will miss you. I definitely think it loses its muster at that back half where it's revealed that they're like gods, and that the longer they get together, they become mortal.
That's the only part of the movie that I was like, after he got released from prison, and then it's revealed that Charlize Theron is his lover and she's been lying to him and whatever. I was like, now this movie lost me, because I was actually I was enjoying it up until that part. It's just I don't think there was a need for that. You could have ended the movie right there, just have it an hour and 20 minutes instead of an hour and 45. Like, you could have cut the last 20 minutes of that movie.
Well, and they could. I mean, if they did, the weird thing about this movie is he didn't have a villain, right? There is no villain for him to really defeat. Technically, I mean, there were the bad guys who were kind of after him, but he didn't have a villain. I love and you're right. In the first half of the movie, they sort of make fun of the superhero genre, because the things he was doing wrong that we see superheroes do all the time, like his landing, right? He'd smash into the ground. So of course, Iron Man does that all the time, and we're just accepting it. He didn't move the car in the right way. So why didn't you just throw it up? Like nobody thinks of those things, and it is the silly, like, public view of a superhero. Because if there was a superhero, it wouldn't be as easygoing as the Marvel movies would make it out to be. So, no, I did think that was all great. And you're right. I don't know where they went with. I guess they painted themselves into some sort of corner. I guess it's sort of a love story, right? Because they did love each other, but they couldn't be together. That's some sort of weird tragedy of their story, I guess. But why say they're gods? I don't know. It was a weird choice. Peter Berg, I don't know what to think about his movies. Honestly, they're not some of the best. I feel he's a better actor, I guess, than he is a director.
True.
But yeah, it was a fun movie. It's funny, we're sitting here. We spent the whole episode really delving into the great superhero movies of our time, and we sort of landed on Hancock, which is just sort of a fun bubblegum movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was still enjoyable, right? It was still a good thing. And yeah, I forgot how much of a Will Smith, vehicle it just is for him to be the smart talking, wisecracking, dick. That he's in Men in Black. He does that in Independence Day. It was sort of just a
Suicide Squad too. The first one.
Suicide Squad.
That's how he's with Deadshot.
So that's it. What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
I really liked Hancock. I think they just went wrong, because I guess they just felt the need that, like, the superhero has to get beat down, like he has to. So they probably were like, how do we make this guy in our world now lose his powers? And I think that's where they went wrong. Grant Morrison, who's a comic writer, has like a really good quote about Superman, and he says, American writers, they say he's too difficult to write because he's so powerful, but he was like, I see it as like a Paul Bunyan thing, where his problems are like ours but on a larger scale. When he's got to take the dog out for a walk, he's got to go around an asteroid belt because the dog can fly. I just wonder if you would have made it, now he's adjusted to being a good superhero, how could he adjust to his regular life and maybe focused on that? Would that have been a better spin than just the God thing?
Right.
Now that
was weird.
I just wonder what you could have done instead to maybe make the film feel more cohesive, because I feel like that just comes out of left corner so hard that you're like, holy,
You're like, wait a minute. Speaking of Grant Morrison, by the way, obviously, if you read a lot of comics, he did a run called Prometheus, I think it was called. Prometheus? I think that's the name of it. It's Interstellar. It's some of the best. And also, he did Arkham Asylum graphic.
I have that.
Which is one of the artistically greatest comic books ever written. I thought I would throw that in there.
Also, I mean, his Doom Patrol is great, and Animal Man by Grant Morrison is fantastic. Um,
Grant Morrison,
but
he's a
no,
weird
I just
dude. He's a weird dude.
yeah, they're quite the character. But I just no, I really do wonder. I just feel like I wish sometimes when I watch a movie like what were they thinking? Like I would have loved to have been in the writer's room where they were like, well, now we gotta figure out to give Will Smith some problems here. Let's make, the dude's
Yeah.
chick, the dude's wife, a god as well, and that's why they're powered. I don't know, it lost me there. I just wish.
It would have been better had she just been a villain and nobody knew about it. I'm fine with the whole being an ex, maybe just an ex-wife. She could have just been an ex-wife. They're not gods. They're both just have superpowers. Whatever, you don't have to bring gods into it. Just an ex-wife. He lost his memory. He doesn't remember that she's the ex-wife. And, now that he's back, or now that he knew, she got to tell him, and she becomes the villain.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They fight, and that's it. And he wins. Like, that's all you need. Right?
yeah.
Why not?
That wouldn't be bad.
I know this is like super corny, but I loved the reveal on the moon, and it was the dude's logo, the heart logo on the
yeah,
moon.
that was
It's so corny, but I was like, yeah, that's awesome, man. Like, it's so feel good.
You cannot go wrong with Jason Bateman. I swear to God, he is the most normal dude, again, in these bizarre scenarios, and he has to roll with it.
Yeah, he's so good in Arrested Development, like you said.
Oh yeah.
He's so funny.
Oh,
He's great. And then he's in isn't it Ozark? Is the other?
Ozark.
It's like that show. He's really good in that too, which obviously is not nearly the same as Arrested Development, but I mean he is really good in that too. I mean he's underrated, but yeah, I for the most part I really liked it. Maybe if I just turned my TV off after he stops that heist, I would be like, wow, that was a great movie.
I actually did love the height, the hand. When he takes the dude's hand.
Yeah.
I think some of the stuff they did was super clever. And I love the whole, call me asshole again. And
Yeah,
then
what's the Marty McFly?
On the flip
Call
side,
me chicken.
Yeah, on the flip side, Charlize Theron was like, "Call me crazy one more time." She had the same tick, which I thought was clever writing. Yeah, I don't know. I just wish maybe she was just a villain. Put her in some tight leather Superman 2.
Is that just what you wanted to see?
Yeah, I think that maybe there's
That's your own thing.
I think it would have enhanced the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Oscar worthy now.
Yeah, that would have been Oscar worthy.
But I mean, yeah, that's I guess our superhero discussion. Is there any final thoughts that we want to say, or should we move on to the wheel of cinema?
I would just say, coming from somebody who was around when it was not cool to talk about superheroes, I love the fact that now we can talk openly about superheroes.
Yeah.
It's the literature of our time. It's the Hamlet. It's the Shakespeare of our time. It's good that it's getting the fan base, money poured into it, that it's getting serious looks from serious people. And not just that, I mean, it opens up all kinds of doors to different types of music. People you wouldn't expect playing Dungeons and Dragons are playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's a whole, it opens up a whole new world of literature, of fantasy. Just mental goodness, in my opinion. So I love the fact that, it's definitely here to stay no matter what. And it proved everybody that this is where a lot of the ethos and the zeitgeist of our culture is. I don't know. That's really all I gotta say about it.
Yeah. Superheroes are life. That's what I always say.
Read more comics.
Yes, read more comics.
Go support the authors and the writers who, and the artists who make these stories possible.
And the people that
Read more
run the
comics.
comic shops.
And yeah,
If you're local, go to Craven Comics. Place is sick.
Yes, you will find some interesting people and some fun people in comic book stores. Let me tell you, no doubt.
Right, and I feel a sense of of a love connection with comic books, which brings us to our next episode, which would be about
What
our
a
romantic
transition.
comedy.
What a
Did you like that? Did you like that transition?
That's the transition into romantic comedy. I love it. Okay.
I'm
That was
right
great.
now in a rom-com with comic books. Anyway,
So, yes, romantic comedy movies. I know for again, just like how comic books were really just for dudes, romantic comedies were mostly all girls, chick flicks, right? You know, nobody's talking about it. But I'm going to tell you right now, from a filmmaking and from a writer's perspective, romantic comedies are some of the greatest screenplays ever written. Hands down ever written. They are the most well thought out, most well timed, most well put together screenplays. So that's where we're going to go or in our next episode. Yes, there's going to be a lot of love, a lot of romance, probably a lot of white people embracing in films. That happens a lot in these. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So obviously for next episode, we are going to do romantic comedies. Now for the movie of the month, we are going to pick whatever rom-com it lands on. Dad, do you have your two?
Yeah.
All. Go ahead.
So, my two is going to be Serendipity,
Yeah, I don't know.
which is
but
Serendipity, Serenid, something. John Cusack
gotcha.
movie. This movie is just fantastically written. It's just a fun movie. The second movie is going to be You've Got Mail. That is Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. This is, in my opinion, the greatest written screenplay ever. It is so tight down to how it is written and its interweaving of the story. It's simple, and I'm not even saying that in a complicated way. It's not complicated in any way. It is the best written screenplay for just telling out the story.
I have.
So those are my.
Okay, so I have two. I have one that I have seen and one I have not seen. The one that I have seen is the musical rom-com Grease. I think John Travolta and oh my goodness, what's her name?
Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John. Great chemistry between them and just some great musical elements through there. And also, other than The Wiz, probably my favorite musical ever.
Good. It's a very good. Yeah, it's a great musical.
Not La La Land?
No. And then I think the next one that I'm going to do, I haven't seen, and watching the Criterion Collection videos, when we watched the Ryan Coogler one, he picked Love and Basketball. I definitely want to check Love and Basketball out. Seems probably right up my alley, and just want to see that one.
It will be right up your alley for sure. Love and Basketball is a fantastic movie. It's so it's a very beautiful film.
Yeah.
And
And I
again,
think for this special,
and obviously, again, you're going to spin the wheel. We're going to pick that movie. We're going to talk about it. But of course, more than likely, we're going to watch some of these throughout the month anyway.
yeah,
That's kind of
100%. Kind of just what happens anyway.
Yeah.
Ethan, now you are a guest on this episode, but do you have two picks that could be added into this chaos wheel?
I did not, but I will say I believe it's the one with Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell. Is that Crazy Stupid Love? That would be the only rom-com off the top of my head, because I didn't come prepared with any, because I didn't know if you wanted me to mess your guys' wheel up.
We'll
But
put a little green.
just for me,
Yeah.
and
So,
yeah, that would be
so
the only one that I could really.
working with. It's not really a focus, but it is going to be spun. Is everyone ready?
Oh, here we go.
Boom, spinning it. Next episode. Oof.
Red. Love
Love
and
and
basketball. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
We'll be talking about that at the end of the next episode, but obviously we're probably talking about all of these romantic comedies anyway. With that, though, that is the superhero episode. First, I want to thank Ethan for taking the time and joining the,
Yes,
amazing
absolutely.
list that we try here.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Always a blast to talk about movies and nerd out with you guys, especially about something that I know all three of us are definitely passionate about, on top of just movies. But I know, we're all comic book nerds, all superhero nerds. So I know definitely I love talking about this kind of stuff with you guys. So I appreciate you guys having me.
You are the official first guest on the podcast, so
I'm honored.
We're high honored.
Episode 1 for
On top of being obviously a little detective, a What the Film first ever host, you're also an AMC A-lister.
I am, yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm a hero, bit of a superhero myself. I know, saving cinemas.
Right.
But yeah, I am an A-lister,
Very nice.
But with that, I will send you on your way. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, share, comment, do all the YouTube stuff. Listen on Spotify.
What the film?